it's hump day, so it's time for some Wednesday comics with yours truly. So here's Batman Dark Age, and this is a Michael Allred deal, whose art I've liked. It's kind of funky and whatnot, and especially when he did some of the art for the Batman 66, was it? Or is it 60s? 60s, I think. You know, the Adam West Batman, and all his Batman look like Adam West. I kind of wish he would team up with somebody who could do a nitty-gritty, brutal take on Batman, but with his art as a brutal Adam West Batman. It's just the massive contrast between the goofiness of Adam West 60s Batman and Dark Knight Returns or something like that. But anywho, I guess this doesn't count as Black Label. I don't know. It's Elseworldish. So it's one of those type deals. So anyway, Michael Allred's art and was it Craig Russell? Yeah. Well, anyway, I can't remember. Sorry, Mr. Russell, but Mr. Russell wrote it. He sure did. So we have City of the Future and all that sort of stuff, and normally that's reserved for Metropolis and whatnot, but apparently Thomas Wayne had a dream. So this is a retelling of Batman's origin, with only one real slight difference in that young Bruce Wayne was not present for their demise. Beyond that, I don't know. Black Mask, who actually does bear a striking resemblance to Adam West in this, this story, is running Wayne Enterprises. And that's about it. I mean, I'm spoiling some amount of stuff. But a surprising character shows up who I thought was another character until I read it. And so I guess this will be some multiverse shenanigans as well. I don't know. But anyway, so you have, my name is Thomas Wayne, and I'd like to welcome you to the Gotham of tomorrow. See? Would you want to drink milk from a cow? A place where we grow all our own food, right here in the city. I wonder if this is like one of those line cities they want to build. I think they're already doing the foundation for one in Saudi Arabia, where it's just one long, I don't know how many miles long line, and everybody lives in there crammed together, and everything you need is within walking distance. And if you need to go a little further, there's a train. Yeah, all that stuff. I don't know. Anyway, a place where no one ever goes hungry, and the milk is always fresh. But is it actually milk? Yeah. Pay attention to these guys. They'll show up later. This is pretty much all the Batman you get out of it. Again, like Allred's art, but that's pretty much the high point of it. And if you want to move across town, just take your house with you. Oh, look at that. See, isn't that nice? And, so I guess it looks like a little chain of balls is hanging under it, but I guess that's supposed to be the propulsion coming out of his jetpack. Boop, 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 boop. I don't know what they're doing, but I guess they're guiding the crane. The crane's doing all the work. So anyway, yeah, you can move these cubes you live in, kind of like, pods. I don't know about the milk, but there'll definitely be bugs. And so there you go, and Batman fighting this guy. But oh boy, it's old Gotham, so it's two different elements of time, I suppose. But I don't know when or where this is taking place. I guess in the not too distant future, as this will be is something of an origin story. But yeah, that's it. This you don't get much else of Batman. So he says, "Into the line, bad boy," and then the train gets boop. That's pretty funny. Oh. Into the line indeed. So there you go. That's Batman Dark Age, and that's all the Batman you get. The rest of it is Bruce Wayne growing up and getting into trouble and stuff like that, and meeting Batman characters whom you already know, but they're different. And there you go. How about that? Isn't that nice? I don't know. I was underwhelmed by it. So I guess I'll check out the next one. But boy, I tell you, I was saying, yeah, eventually I'll get to that Superman Space Age, but I don't know if it's anything like this. I mean, it's pretty pictures, but that's about it. Speaking of pretty pictures stealing the show, it's time I caught back up with Green Lantern War Journal, so there'll be 2 issues of this, 6 and 7. But it's interesting. The art, of course, is excellent, and you do have this sad, tragic story about his mother, and then him using his power, which can extend long. I mean, he's left to go off on this mission and everything, but of course, he had to create this facsimile of his dearly departed sister to keep his mother, suffering from the throes of dementia, company. And then there's some sinister things afoot there as well. But it adds to the sadness, and it's all rather touching and everything. But this is issue 6, and this is yet another one that is dragging a bit. So you've got some spectacular battles and whatnot with the zombie lanterns, and John Stewart and his protege from another universe, who is not his protege, but was the protege of his alternate universe self. Yes. So battle, and all that stuff, and it's all cool looking, and that's fine. But a lot of it is the setup for something else that I guess they'll get to eventually. But yeah. So he's able to smash the big monsters, but there's other problems on the way, and then all that. But it's still rather slow, and it's taken a while to get to this point. He's got a new Green Lantern suit, and that differentiates. I guess Hal Jordan's is still pretty much the same. I don't know if everybody else gets their own signature one. In the old days, they pretty much had the same outfit, But I don't know. I guess the dress code's been loosened, and then they've been having trouble ever since. So the evil forces know about his mother and all that, and oh no, what could happen? And if you remember the Dark Stars, John Stewart was one, so they're connecting that to it, and all that. So, but still taking a while to get there. But again, artwork's pretty good, even in this rather sparse sampling of it, and even when they darken everything. But it's within the nature of the story and the literal hell that John Stewart is being put through in this as he battles forth. He's got a ring, but at the same time, they already demonstrated that the power is within him. So, but I guess the ring helps focus and whatnot. It's still, but when it's taken from him, he has problems. So it's kind of back and forth on that, and I'm not entirely certain. But then again, I'm probably blanking on something they did explain. But overall, it's slow going, and perhaps too much. And this is happening quite a bit in several of the comics that I'm saying is the best that's available that I can see in my opinion. But it is dragged by this probably a lack of confidence in the ultimate outcome, or haven't quite figured out what the ultimate outcome is yet. So this is where you go. But it's not a complete failure or disaster or anything like that. And considering how it's going and how it's dragging, kind of thought this should have remained a backup feature from the single Green Lantern comic book, or just call it Green Lantern Corps. The other backups that I don't think led to anything of any significance that I was interested in. John Stewart's was the strongest of those. And certainly better than the backups that were in Action Comics and over at Superman. It's much better than that. But you can't, you got to poop or get off the pot. And whatever the resolution of this story, immediately have something ready to go into something cool. Bring in some old classic villains and stuff like that, or invent a new one, which they've done here, more or less. But other than that, it's getting stale, and I'm sorry to say. Speaking of getting stale, Justice Idea of America is not getting stale. It's stale. It's just been in a sludge. And its spinoffs, again, are far superior to the original, with the exception of one. But even at the outset, Stargirl and the Lost Children story, it was goofy and silly, but the art was excellent, and the pacing was good, and it is stupid. Well, somewhat stupid. Goofy and silly was appropriate, considering all the characters are children and whatnot. So it was fine. The JSA, man, is it slow. And the initial story dealing with Per Dagaton, it just was so lackluster. And it just, Huntress is a person out of time. Yeah, okay. Meanwhile, the next thing is to recruit the children of villains and make them heroes. So they've got Red Lantern's daughter, and because the original Red Lantern was Green Lantern's boyfriend, and this retcon Green Lantern, because Green Lantern having a gay son wasn't cool enough. So she's going to be made a member. They just found all these old sidekicks that they could have made new members of the team, but they're going to recruit these supervillain kids. And not all of them are villainous. Here we have the son of the Harlequin, I believe, and he's like a hard-edged vigilante. Harlequin being a former villainess of the original Green Lantern, and a love interest. Not anymore. We got to retcon that out because, she was a woman and all that. But the spinoffs, the Flash one was good, and Sandman was good. But the rest of this, I don't know, man. So here they do make use of one of the lost children, the sidekick to the original Mr. Terrific. Of course, comes a call in to offer his services as a sidekick to the current Mr. Terrific, who's a very different character, but that actually might be a cool pairing as they go, because it's kind of silly. And when they did their Terrific series, that was actually pretty good. It was a bit of a parody of the Fantastic Four, but it still worked out. And you could have some more of that with his rather serious character and maybe a more silly one. I don't know. He's from a silly era and all of that. But as far as chasing after yet more, good Lord, they're going to be the Justice Army of America because there's just so many. But anyway, there's the callback of the original Mr. Terrific and so on and so forth. That might have been a better narrative to follow. None of it really matters because Jeff Johns, these are going through the scripts I'm sure he had already written, and then he's gone. He's off on his Ghost Machine project, and I don't know who picks up the pieces after this. Hopefully someone who has an idea of what to do, but right now, there doesn't seem to be much of an idea at all in this series. So that's too bad. But again, The Flash and Sandman, the two spinoffs, that's the best you got going for it. And Sandman's over, and I guess The Flash has one more issue to go, and then that's it for that. Probably should just continue with those two. Call that Justice Society. I don't know. It's too bad. I had hopes for it, but, you shouldn't get your hopes up these days. Meanwhile, over at Marvel, we can continue with the theme of slow going. Another thing that's a bit dragging is the Hulk, which, and these are comics I like. And I like this one. And I do appreciate the horror element that it chose to use for the Hulk. But it's just, you go from one monster to the next. It's almost like a narrative for a video game, and eventually you get to the boss. So his little companion is missing. He's searching for her. And this is supposed to be New Orleans. It doesn't really look like it, but we'll go with it. He's looking for her. Give her back. I want her back. And meanwhile, she's been trapped by some villain from The Conjuring. And she's literally stuck in a haunted house where all kinds of things, creepy things are happening. And this is all a plot to lure the Hulk in, which it is successful in doing. But it's not the main boss monster. And we're this far in, issue 10. And it's, it's rinse, lather, repeat. You just can't keep doing that. So, gonna have to resolve it. And as far as more horror elements going forward, you could take that tact with even classic villains of the Hulk and that sort of thing, and continue with the mood and atmospherics of it. But it doesn't have to actually be supernatural monsters and that sort of thing. But yeah, this should have been wrapped up already. It really should have, but it hasn't, and so that's dragging the title down. That's too bad. But hopefully they can resolve it and pick up the pace and bring something else to it. Otherwise, yeah, another disappointment, I'm afraid. Meanwhile, over at Ultimate Comics, the alternate universe of Marvel, can you guess what the problem is with Ultimate Spider-Man? Yes, it too is dragging on. Now, it's only 3 issues in, but good Lord. The highlights of it is, yes, his family life. And it's almost like a sweet little sitcom-like take on that. And his daughter's quickly becoming daddy's girl. And which is interesting that as it plays forward, I guess she gets to know the secret. And granted, it was by accident, and I guess his spider sense didn't work as well or something. And but Mary Jane doesn't get to know, and his son doesn't get to know. So this could set the stage for tension between father and son down the road. And then Mary Jane's like, "You didn't tell me this," and you're exposing your daughter to this superhero crap, that kind of thing. So it's a bit irresponsible on his part. But, they got the little silly business where she's advising him on some fashion advice, that his costume is too scary for her, and you need to pretty it up if you want to be a hero. And so they go through these different designs and stuff. Can you guess what the ultimate suit looks like? Well, you'll have to buy a copy and see for yourself. Yeah. So, and then to add more that I'm sure Mary Jane's going to be upset about when she finds out about this, said, "Hey, you want to take it for a spin?" So he goes swinging through the city with his young daughter hanging on to him. Yeah, that's not smart. So, but that's basically the high point of the story, is that, oh, isn't that sweet? He's a good, well, maybe not in this case, he's endangering his daughter. But, sharing this moment with his daughter and all that type of stuff. That's fine and all that. But then the actual superhero stuff you get into, it's a bit of a letdown. And then a nod to the Green Goblin story in the past where it's a mystery as to who he is. It's really no big deal, and everything revolves around Stark technology, which there's something to be said about one single source or event or some sort is the explanation for a superhero world. But I don't know. I mean, it just wasn't like that originally. If one thing can happen that's weird and bizarre, why can't another, But anyway, art, of course, is outstanding. But again, is this going to be like 10 issues just like this? If that's the case. And maybe I'm just being, unfair to it because of the other titles that I've liked but are going nowhere seemingly. And worrying that this will be the same thing. Could be. But, man. That wasn't the way it was in the old days. They were able to do everything in one. and continue on to another issue, you know? Anyway, hopefully it picks up the pace. Finally, to end on a high note, the best title available in comics today, and that even surpasses World's Finest, is Conan the Barbarian. And continuing on with his story, and now Del Toro's art returns, channeling in, again, the Buscema look, which, it's just my favorite. Doug Braithwaite is a great artist. He's fantastic. But there's just something about this look, especially where Conan is concerned, works out. So it's all connected to this, dark god thing that Conan had encountered before and now has been possessed by. And ultimately, in this, it's revealed that he's been sent into the past where he's meeting other Robert E. Howard characters that are before his time. So it's kind of an unexpected twist to this. But, supernatural sorcery and all that crap does happen. And so here you go. And it goes to the callback of the original battle with that dark, evil, statue and whatnot. And but it didn't tell you what happened after this is Brule here destroyed it. Conan came out of it. Hey, how'd that happen? Well, we'll have to read the story to find out. And so this leads for Conan. And I don't know. I mean, would it push him into the future to meet Solomon Kane? I don't know. But, it's just, you never know what the twist will be. But it's all good, brutal stuff, as is the nature of Conan. And speaking to this overall arc of this mysterious evil force that's afoot here within news stories within that. And that's why it stays exciting and whatnot and doesn't drag at all as the others who have interesting ideas and whatnot and great artwork, but they get stale and they get repetitive. Whereas in Conan, sure, it's sword fights all the time. That's the repetition, but it's surrounded by other elements of a story that at least gives you the illusion of a progression. We know this is real, so. But anyway, Conan for the big win and a tough one to beat, I would say. So anyway, there you go. That's what I had time for this episode of Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics. And I'll do it again. Well, I'm thinking I might do another take on Green Goblin for next week. So that's probably what you can expect come next week for Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics. Yeah.